Doom: The Dark Ages, the continuation of Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. And I've only played one of those two. Doom 2016. I'll play Eternal at some point, but for now, I'm going straight to this. The community used to have a running joke called, "But can it run Doom?" Well, the answer was always yes, but after the release of this, it's been, "But can it run Doom though?" And the answer is almost always no, because this game completely tarnished the reputation of Doom running on literally anything. Like, you had Doom running on a damn pregnancy test, and now this thing needs, what, like 10 gigs of VRAM? You know how expensive that is? Dark Ages takes place before 2016, so it kind of makes sense for me to play this first, then get into Eternal, because I've already played 2016. Because I've played through the entire thing, I'm going to be giving you guys a recommendation of if it's good or if it's not. I'll be testing it on multiple different factors, right? Like the graphics, sound, the gameplay. Basically, everything you would need to take into account when you're about to buy a game. So, without further ado, let's get to rating. Graphically, this game has had a lot of problems. You've probably seen a lot of videos complaining about the performance and optimization of this game, which has not been good. But you know what? We'll start off with the good things. This game, on any setting, looks really good. I don't notice a single difference between low graphics and Ultra Nightmare, but that is kind of like a double-edged blade, because it alienates some lower-end GPUs. Stuff like the GTX 1650 or any GPU that has less than 8 gigs of VRAM, by the way. This game consumes almost 7 gigabytes of VRAM at low graphics, I think. That's still a lot. For low graphics, that's insane. Sadly, this is where the compliments for the graphics ends. I've had a lot of complaints. You see, ray tracing, you cannot turn it off, and ray tracing is like the main reason why this game runs so poorly. It would easily consume 8 gigs to 7 gigs at max ultra violence graphics at 1080p, right? And that is insanely good. That would mean that even a GTX 1650 or any card with even 6 gigs of VRAM would run this. But they can't because of ray tracing and the fact that you can't turn it off. Another problem I have is that lighting, it's kind of weird. There's like this little halftone dotted grainy effect on areas that have light. I don't know if it's because there's also fog there or something, but it's really annoying and it stands out, and I really hate it. I thought it was just like my screen acting up for a bit until I just came to terms and found out that it was actually the game. So that is also a small nitpick, but nothing too big to be concerned about. One thing I can give props to the devs for is adding so much customizability into the settings menu. So you can potentially get this game to run under 6 gigs of VRAM. So if that brings any hope, there you have it. You probably expect me to give this game like a 0 or a 2 out of 10 for graphics and optimization. But not really, because you see, even though it is terrible at this, the game is extremely customizable, right? Just like every Doom game, there are hundreds of settings that you can customize so the game can run on your rig, right? You can decrease the resolution to 720p, then you can add DLSS and ray reconstruction. You can turn all this on. Maybe not ray reconstruction. I don't know if that's only for path tracing. I think it might be, but ignore what I just said there. All this together can potentially increase your frame rate to 60 if you're on a older hardware with 4 gigs. Well, actually, if we're being completely honest, you definitely cannot run this game at 4 gigs of VRAM. At 6 gigs, it is possible, right? Downgrading the resolution to 1560 does decrease the VRAM usage to below 7 gigs. That is still not 6 gigs, so I don't know. For graphics and optimization, I'm gonna have to give this game like a 6.6 out of 10. It has huge room for improvements, right? They can just maybe add a render distance slider, right? So then I don't have to render all these post-processing effects from like a kilometer away at full HD quality. You know, that could be the first step. And yeah, the maps do look pretty beautiful, but like, what's the point of having such beautiful map design and graphics if literally no one can play the game? So there you have it. The devs kinda cooked in this department, I'll be honest. To every shot, reload, and even the damn Doomslayer landing, it sounds awesome. It like fuels that power fantasy you have when you want to play a Doom game, right? The guns sound heavy. They sound like they're made out of pure galvanized square steel. Nothing else. I enjoy the sound effects. Every sound effect is awesome. Okay, it matches the theme that they're going for perfectly. Even when the Doomslayer's walking, those thuds he make, it sound insanely heavy. You know, like when those anime protagonists like start like getting a power boost and then the ground beneath them starts cracking. That's what it feels like when you run as this guy. So in the Immersion, it just peaks. It's like super good. But there's one part about this that they did kind of mess up, and that's the music. I cannot remember a single track from this game, other than the ones that kept annoyingly playing in the chapter selection menu, which was actually horrendous. I did not like it at all. It makes sense that it sounds bad because Mick Gordon isn't the one who produced the music, right? I don't hear the sound of violence when I'm listening to his music. It just sounds like heavy metal. Not doom metal, just heavy metal. Not throwing shade at heavy metal, right? But it doesn't have that iconic doom vibe that I've always heard, like throughout all of 2016. This just doesn't have that same ring to it. It doesn't feel the same. And I feel like the people that replaced Mick Gordon tried their best. Like, you can definitely hear the resemblance to the music Mick Gordon made, but it doesn't hit the same. Like, literally, it's too calm. So in the end, the music just ends up being not as memorable as the older ones because it's just too tame. The audio is pretty cool, but like the music itself, not living up to the hype. So for audio and immersion, it's gonna have to be a 7.5 out of 10. They nailed the sound effects and all that, but they completely fumbled. Well, I wouldn't say completely. They half fumbled the music itself for a Doom game. The gameplay, I'm gonna be honest, it's pretty fun. There is one thing that really holds it back, but I'll get into that later. We gotta get into the good stuff first, okay? There's a pretty decent variety of guns in this game, right? But the most memorable is the change shot. I thought that was like a really powerful weapon. I love that. The super shotgun and the impaler, which it does double damage when it hits the opponent's head. So most of my playthrough, I just used the super shotgun and the chain shot. I never really had the need to switch. The chain shots upgrade where it can just automatically fully charge after a parry was just an instant seller. It does so much damn damage. what's it called? The chainsaw shield thing? The shield saw, that's what it's called. 10 out of 10 idea. I actually love it. It is awesome. Insanely badass too. The deflection mechanic is cool. It's nothing, you know, original, but it is really cool and satisfying to pull off. They've also, you know, combined some weapon upgrades to the chainsaw deflection, you know? So there is some active gameplay element for that. The chainsaw upgrades where, you know, like you can clear out whole hordes with it. You can chuck it at like these gearboxes to get them spinning so you can do some miniature like these secret events. So like there's a lot of variety to it. You can also charge across the entire map to target this one individual demon, which is funny, and it also helps with the fast-paced action that the game's going for. They replaced the BFG in this game with this crossbow. I don't know what it's called, but this like super overpowered crossbow. I never used it that much, but it was pretty cool. It one-shots literally everything and has the AoE of a nuclear bomb. I swear to God, that thing can clear out an entire section by itself. Now, sadly, this is where all the compliments end. The main course, the 5-star Michelin meal for every Doom game has been the glory kills. And you know what this game doesn't have? That's right. Power-ups. No, I'm just kidding. That is one of the things they don't have, but they also don't have glory kills. Well, kind of. They have glory kills, but the only glory kill I know that the game has is if you jump and kill a demon at the same time, it plays this glory kill where you just chop its head off. There's also technically a glory kill by killing bosses. Right, you rip out their heart, that's technically a glory kill, but it just doesn't live up to the hype. Right? They just, by removing glory kills, they just remove that one part of the Doom franchise that like really held it in place. Like, come on game, why are you targeting teenagers in the first place? You're already including Satan, basically, into fighting demons and chopping their heads off. There's no need to remove glory kills to target teenagers. That's the only reasonable excuse I can think of. Either that or they're just like bored, maybe? Like maybe the devs, one, ran out of time, or two, they just couldn't be bothered adding glory kills. Now, to the other thing, they don't have power-ups. Really? You remove power-ups. I don't know if Doom Eternal has power-ups, but I feel like it should. Right? I haven't played Doom Eternal, but I did play Doom 2016, as I've said before, and there were always power-ups. Well, there was quadruple damage. There was one shot where you just basically, that's basically the Berserk mode, which is just a power-up you can pick up off like somewhere on the map, and you just start one-shotting everything. Only difference is that every hit you do does not end up as a glory kill. You also don't use your fists. So yeah. Some extra stuff I want to add on is that there are like no bugs in this game. That may not sound like a big deal, but recently, almost every game has like 100 bugs on release. But this game actually just never had one. I didn't encounter one single bug while playing this. Replayability, on the other hand, it's a bit of a hit or miss, kind of. Because you see, you can't backtrack. The game literally stops you from backtracking by making it impossible to get back to the stage you're at just before. By either making the area behind you collapse, like at the doorway, or like the doorway is too high and you jump down so you can't actually get back, you know? Like, that's pretty annoying for replayability. But even if you beat the game, you can replay that exact same chapter, but you start off with all your high-end gear. The game difficulties have not changed. They still have the same ones. I've finished this game on Nightmare. I am not playing Ultra Nightmare. Okay. Because the requirements for that is that if you die even once, you get sent back to the beginning of the chapter. I may like playing the game at higher difficulties, right? Like Nightmare difficulty, just it feels right, okay? It's not too difficult, I'll be honest. But that's because I play every game, every Doom game, at Nightmare difficulty. Ultra Nightmare is just too risky for me. For replayability and bugs, I give it a 10 out of 10, really. Yes, it stops you from backtracking, but you can go back to previous chapters with your high-end gear and just breeze through it and try again. You also have 3 save slots, so yeah, 10 out of 10 for replayability and bugs. I also give gameplay an 8 out of 10. So you get plenty of choices, like difficulty options for like the veterans who've been playing Doom since like Doom 64. And the game is still pretty fun, even though it is missing a few key mechanics. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest here. There is no Doom game that's gonna get a 10 out of 10 when it comes to story. I'm sorry if that hurts some of you guys, but that is just my opinion. You know, everyone has their own opinion and stuff. It's subject to change. I mostly agree that Doom does not have that good of a story in the gameplay sense. By that I mean like the game itself telling you the story. Understand the story through lore videos isn't the game giving you an idea of the story. It's just you playing the game and then realizing what you did through in a different video, right? It's completely different. Like, you're not learning from the game. The game's not doing a good job at telling you a story. It's these people that really love the game that are going through it in every small little detail, piecing it together, and then giving you a full thorough breakdown, right? 90% of the player base for games would not know, for story games, would not know what the hell they just did. And that's okay. But enough of that, okay? Now we're just getting to the story. Doom: The Dark Ages is a prequel to Doom 2016, meaning it's meant to explain some of the things that Doom 2016 didn't explain. It does explain to me what that like circular slot in his suit always was for, but it turns out it was for the mind control device that the makers were using to control the Doomslayer. In the beginning of Doom: Dark Ages, you are just a weapon that the makers use. You're mind controlled by them on their ship as a weapon to use against the demons. And basically the only person that even remotely cares about you for some odd reason is this woman called Commander Thera. You get summoned down to kill demons a few times to help the humans, but then after a while, I don't know how, I'd probably watch a lore video on it, but you start fighting against the maker's control. Well, you do break out of the control of the device, but before you could do anything about it, you got sent straight down onto the battlefield. And then after helping the humans for a bit, Commander Thera gets taken to this Eldritch realm because she has the Heart of Argent, which I don't know really what it is. I probably need to watch a lore video on that. Basically, the Heart of Argent is super powerful because it's like an eldritch being. So Doom Guy basically finds Cthulhu. Cthulhu opens up a portal to the Eldritch realm. Doom Guy starts riding Cthulhu, flies into the realm, then escapes from that realm after being eaten by Cthulhu, killing Cthulhu from the inside out. And Commander Thera is being held hostage by Azrock, the main villain, who's trying to use the Heart of Argent as a power source to become super powerful, which he does succeed in. Doom Guy gets lured into a trap in the Eldritch realm with 3 Cthulhus, keeping him in a cage. I don't know how there's that many Cthulhus, but I guess the Eldritch realm do be different. Doom Guy realizes, or remembers that mind control device on his armor will self-detonate, blow him up if he tries to remove it. So that's exactly what he does. He blows himself up, gets sent to hell, comes out of hell after this ritual that the humans do to revive him, and then goes on a revenge arc. He kills the maker that was controlling him, and then he defeats Azrock with the power amp of the Heart of Argent after he gets access to that. And then once he beats that form, he chases down Azrock in hell and kills him for good, as well as that witch that kept helping him. Story-wise, I mean, I guess it only fuels Doom Guy's aura. There was barely any character development. Other than the Aquaman, which is what I call the guy wearing the Atlantic living armor. He didn't like Doomguy at first because, well, natural human instinct, a super powerful godlike entity being controlled by a different godlike entities, you wouldn't really trust him that much, would you? But over the course of some time, he starts to trust him a little bit more, and doesn't see him as like a killing machine, and ends up giving him his own mech to fight Cthulhu. Yes, the same Cthulhu that Doomguy killed by destroying the insides of him. That basically all the character development I saw. But there was a cool cameo to Hog Rider, like my favorite character, and the most annoying Clash card. It's a cool cameo. Okay, back onto the main topic, sorry. So sadly, for story, I'm gonna have to give this a 7 out of 10. There is a story, right? The devs actually put more effort into the story and explaining what you are doing, unlike in Doom 2016, where you're just thrown into it, kill, rip and tear. That's all you did in 2016. This is where most games end up falling short. This segment includes the outside factors like the price, the storage, the community, hype factor, etc. And most games don't really end up with a good final result, like my Battlefield 6 review. So let's just get straight into it. The first factor, the price. This game is 130 bucks, and one of the limiting things in the extra category is that if any game is over 100 bucks, unless for some special condition, it cannot get a 10 out of 10. The most it can get is 9 out of 10. And sadly, it is not gonna get a 10 out of 10 because it does not have any special factors. It does not justify its insanely high price. And this is an NZD, by the way, so not US. This game being 130 bucks and also having you required to have at least a $2,000 to $3,000 PC is a big no-no because, well, why the hell would I buy such an expensive game if I literally cannot play it? Now, the storage. God damn, this game a big boy. This game is 80 gigabytes from what I checked last. It is pretty big. And, I mean, I can't expect anything less from a AAA title. Most AAA titles are over 50 gigs. And if your game ends up being over 100 gigs, you instantly lose 10 out of 10 for the extra category. Does it get a 10 out of 10 for storage? Was it worth 80 gigs of your storage? Not really. 80 gigs is a huge amount. It's not looking too good so far. 80 gigs of storage for a game that requires you to have a mid-range PC for a total of 12 to 20 hours of gameplay. Now, the community? Well, it's the same Doom community. Only difference is that for this game, the community wasn't as united as the older ones because this is a big step away from what it once was. Before, Doom games were easily runnable. They looked really good at the same time too. Like, you didn't need more than 4 gigs of RAM to run a Doom game. But this game? Double it. No, you know what? Triple it. And give it to the next person with a budget GPU. Like, what do you... Come on, game. And for that reason, the community is kind of like split. They're not happy with the requirements you need, and also slightly because of glory kills. But, like, for the people that can run the game, it is pretty fun. I am not gonna lie. I was enjoying every second of the playthrough. Even if the story was mediocre at best, it was still like a really fun experience. No bugs, no glitches, just straight rip and tear. It was fun. And the people that can run the game agree. Now, the hype factor. This is basically where games end up crumbling. You could get a 10 out of 10 on everything, but once you get down to the hype factor, which is completely community based, the game will fall from a 10 out of 10 to maybe an 8 or a 5. The game was pretty solidly hyped when it was, you know, wasn't released yet. It was only trailers. You had the introduction to being able to ride mechs, the dragon, and the cool badass design of the Doomslayer. It was all sick. There was plenty of hype back then. But then once it released, we all lost the hype. No one could run it. It had performance issues. But now, the hype has died down. It isn't actually hated as much as it was back then. It's actually kind of, I think the hype is good, really. The hype is actually equal. It's nothing too crazy. Like, no one's calling it the game of the year or like their favorite. They're just saying it's good, right? That it's fun. And I can agree with that. The hype is well rated. It is not overrated, underrated, it's perfectly rated. Which is actually surprising because most games either get glazed by their audience or absolutely hated. So, price, not looking good at all. Storage, also not looking too good at all because of the requirements. The community, they're in a rough spot at the moment. And the hype factor, well rated. They're not hating the game as much as they were before, and they're also not like glazing it. Sadly though, because of the price, the storage costs, and the system requirements, I don't see this game surviving for another year. Well, it will survive, but there won't be as many daily users. Doom Eternal at the moment is still raking in more daily users than Doom the Dark Ages, simply because not that many people can run it or afford it. So for the extra category, I'm gonna have to give this a 6 out of 10. Maybe higher. I'll rethink it a little bit, but it's gonna be a 6 out of 10 for now.